Bayan-Ulgii Province, one of the most popular tourist destinations in Mongolia. Magnificent nature and unique culture of Kazakh people residing in Bayan-Ulgii Province are the main attractions for tourists, but above all else, the sacred Altai Tavunbog mountain, towering along the western borders of Mongolia, is the main destination for majority, if not all, of the domestic tourists traveling to Bayan-Ulgii Province. On this episode of Explore Mongolia, MNB World team travels to Bayan-Ulgii Province to help you plan your travel through one of the most unique provinces of Mongolia. Beautiful nature and amazing culture, what more could you ask for when traveling? Center of Bayan-Ulgii Province, Ulgi City. It is located over 1700 kilometers from the capital Ulaanbaatar. Depending on your preference at the time, there are two ways to travel to Bayan-Ulgii Province, by land and by air. Traveling via land will take roughly 2 days, and there are many wonderful things you can see along the way. You can go through Altai or Hovskol. Both offer great destinations for sightseeing and many more. To save time, you can also take plane to Ulgi City like we did. It will take roughly 2 hours, and there are a number of airline companies that offer flights to Bayan-Ulgii. Majority of the people coming to watch the world-famous Golden Eagle Festival come to Ulgi via planes. MNB World team departed from Ulaanbaatar at 0700 hours and landed in Ulgi City at 0900 hours. Majority of the population in Bayan-Ulgii Province, almost over 90%, are Kazakh people. Although majority in Bayan-Ulgii Province, Kazakh people are the minority ethnic group in Mongolia, consisting of over 100,000 people. They have different traditions, religion, and language, but are still nomads at heart. Kazakh people are all around the world, but Mongolian Kazakhs are considered to be one of the few who still kept their traditions. Ulgi is a rapidly developing city. To accommodate for the high number of tourists coming to Ulgi every year, local administration made vast improvements on the tourism sector of the province. As the center of Bayan-Ulgii Province, Ulgi City has many factories which make products from local raw materials. The most famous ones are being, of course, wool and cashmere factories built with the help of Russia, which directly exports their products to Switzerland and Russian Federation. Ulgi City has also a meat processing factory, with the most famous product being the horse meat sausage called kaz. Since it has halal meat, it is also exported to Islamic countries such as Iran. Like I mentioned before, in literally every episode of the Explore Mongolia, the best way to learn about a region you are traveling is to visit the local museum. This museum was interesting to say the least. I do not know much about Kazakh culture, and it was fascinating to learn about the culture and history of these people. When you go through the doors, human stones, echoes of the past will welcome you to the museum. These ancient statues will definitely spark your interest to learn more about the history of the nomads. We are in the Hall of Nature of the Ulgi City Central Museum, so let's take a look around. First hall exhibited a number of wild animals which reside in Bayan-Ulgii Province. All these taxidermied animals were made during the socialist era. Taxidermy as a profession is rare nowadays. Second hall exhibited a number of artifacts from the Mongolian revolutions. To declare our independence from Qing, Mongolia had its fair share of struggle against greater powers. But in the end, we prevailed. Mauser and Tokarev were only pistols available for Mongolian people during the early 20th century, and for rifles, they used Mosin Nagant. This is an ash board. I have only read about these from literature. You practice writing on this board and it is reusable. Paper and ink was not common back then, so professors issued these for their students as a notebook. Horse armor. I have never seen anything like this before from other museums around Mongolia. Mongolia was famous for its cavalry back in the days, and this actually looks like Turkish plate armor. Lamellar plates were inserted among the chainmail, so it has the best of both worlds, flexible and strong. Mongolian saddle is totally different from its European counterparts, and it is made specifically for mounted combat. Mosin Nagant rifles were and still are one of the most popular rifles for hunters in Mongolia. This crude wooden bipod is handmade and it really tears my heart apart, but it is usable. You can see it on almost all of the rifles owned by nomadic hunters in Mongolia. This part of the exhibition was really interesting because these are the products from socialist era of Mongolia. Mongolia had a number of factories and aimed to become fully self-sufficient during the socialist era, and would you look at those colorful packages. I wish I could just drink one of those drinks. These ones are quite well preserved for something made several dozen years ago. This is the cavalry saber. Although films portray Mongolian swords with dramatic curves, it was highly dependent on the region and usage. Look at that beast of a club on the right. How does one even wield it? Chainmail armor was the most popular armor for nomads. It is flexible and offers fairly good protection. A warrior does not have to worry about slashes and to some extent stab from a sword. But spears and arrow is another story, and you need heavier lamellar armor for that. The last and the most interesting hall exhibits the various traditional clothes of ethnic groups who live in Bayan-Ulgii Province. Highly decorated, Kazakh people love to decorate their clothes with beautiful patterns. Take a look at these high heels. Pretty cool fashion for nomads if you ask me. Located average of 2,500 meters above sea level, Bayan-Ulgii Province is fairly cold, and Kazakh people have really thick clothing for winter made out of fur. These belts are one of the most heavily decorated pieces of clothing I have ever seen. Sure, Mongolians have huge silver belts, but look at that contrast between silver, brass, and various kinds of gemstones. Fox hats are common among Kazakh people. It is worn by hunters during summer and winter alike. Women's clothing in Kazakh culture are very unique. They still have traces of ancient Khwarezm dynasty clothing with nomadic touch. This is a mechanical sewing machine made in USSR or one of its satellite nations. I assure you, you will find at least one of these in every nomadic family. It does not require anything but some oiling every now and it is an essential part of nomadic lifestyle. These are the clothing of other ethnic groups who reside in Bayan-Ulgii Province. You can see a dramatic difference in design and fashion. Silver and copper are precious metals of choice for jewelry for Mongolian nomads because it has really positive effect on human body. Besides, gold attracts people's attention and considered to be source of negative energy by the nomads. Kazakh beds are highly decorated. These elaborate embroideries made by women of the family and could take up to 400 hours for a medium-sized piece. You can see such embroidery in literally every household you visit in Bayan-Ulgii Province. Traditional musical instrument of Mongolia is horsehead fiddle, and for Kazakh people, that would be the dombra. Do you see that ocarina among these instruments? Mongolian traditional board and card games. These may look like chess or checkers, but is totally different from those games. Nomads couldn't just go to Walmart and buy things in the old times, so everything from needle to the whole gear was handmade. Of course, more elaborate pieces such as stirrup and other highly decorated metal pieces were made by blacksmith. Mongolians never used nails. Gears and carts does not have single pieces of nail in them. Everything has a locking mechanism held in place with either traction or puzzle-like locks. Kazakh people are famous for their weaving. This particular piece was made for women all around the world. Hunting with eagles is what distinguishes Mongolian Kazakhs from others in the world. We will dive more into this culture in our next episodes. Flint and steel, daily equipment of the nomads. This steel piece has a pocket along with it which contains tinder and the flint stones. Mongolians say that a smith who doesn't make his own tools is not a smith at all. Nothing was thrown out by the nomads, and some of these hammers look like it was made from scrap rebars. We showcased few of the most valuable exhibitions in this museum, so the rest is up to you to discover when you come to Bayan-Olgii Province.
So we looked through the museum, now let's go to the Tolbo next. We arrived at the Tolbo Lake, just 45 kilometers from the civilization. This is, I just can't get my eyes off of these beautiful, magnificent mountains. So you have to come here.
Our first destination was the Tolbo Lake. Located at 50 kilometers south of Ulgii city, this lake covers over 185 square kilometers. It is one of the few freshwater lakes around the western parts of Mongolia and is a very popular tourist destination. You can see beautiful Everfrost mountains all around the lake, and you can even swim in it. Visiting Tolbo Lake will open your eyes from what you will see in the future with your travels through Bayan-Ulgii Province. There are a number of fish around Tolbo Lake, so if you're into fishing, you can rent some fishing equipment from around the tourist camps, or you can bring your own and go for fishing.
So we are going back to the Ulgii city, and let's take a look from a vantage point. We're back at the Ulgii city and we're going up the Narym complex. So let's get the bird eye view of Ulgii city.
Naremdal Complex. Almost every city in Mongolia has a complex which offers bird-eye view of the whole city. Ulaanbaatar has the Zasing Hill, World War II memorial on a hill south of the city. Ulgi City's Naremdal Complex was built in cooperation with the Altai city of Xinjiang Autonomous Region of PRC. This complex represents the fraternity of the two cities, same religion, and connection through the Great Altai Tavnbog mountain range. Although separated by borders, the hearts of the people of these two cities ever remain together in tight bonds. Hovd River flows through Ulgi City, continuing for over 516 kilometers through Mongolia. It takes its source from Altai Tavnbog and pours into Kharos Lake. It is the biggest river among the rivers of Central Asia that does not flow out. Ulgi City itself is located exactly 1730 kilometers from Ulaanbaatar. It has a population of 35,000 people, majority of them Kazakhs.
Now we're taking off to the Altai Tavnbog. The adventure is just starting.
Our vehicle of choice is an UAZ van. Built like a tank, it is one of the very few vehicles that can traverse the dirt road around the Bayan-Ulgii Province. Of course, there are other vehicles available by tourist companies, and you can choose them depending on comfort and reliability of your choice. As much as UAZ van can be reliable, it could use just a little bit of more comfort.
One of the worst fears for driver is to get stuck in the mud. While some experienced drivers can speed through the mud like it's a dirt rally, others will get stuck in it no matter how good is the car. On the other hand, it brings the passengers together to overcome a small challenge. Everyone will have to get off and contribute we did. We tried laying rocks, digging through the mud, and as a last-ditch effort, we all pushed it for like 5 minutes. The car eventually got free, but in the process, my entire right side was covered in mud. Thus, my 7-year record of not being in a car which stuck in the mud was broken and reset to 0. You can say it is part of the adventure, and I loved every moment of it. This is why you need 4x4 cars, especially in Mongolia. Luckily, we will not run into any more problems with the car in the future, I thought. But let's just say it was a very naive thought.
Our next destination will be the Tsagaan Salaa rock paintings, located around 130 kilometers from Ulgi City.
We are here at Tsagaan Salaa. Welcome to the biggest art gallery in the whole world. Tsagaan Salaa has one of the highest concentration of petroglyphs in the world. So let's take a look what our ancestors received the world.
It covers around 15 square kilometers and has over 10,000 rock paintings among them. Almost literally every stone you step on will have a small carving among them. Will have a small carving on it, and you can look through it yourself. It was quite amazing to see how the ancient people left these for us to explore, and you can't but wonder what were they thinking and wanted us to find out when they were carving these in. It took us around one day to reach the Tsagaan Salaa rock paintings. The numerous rock carvings and funerary monuments found in these three sites illustrate the development of culture in Mongolia over a period of 12,000 years. The earliest images reflect a time around 11 to 6000 BC, when the area was partly forested and the valley provided a habitat for hunters of a large game. Speaking of which, you can see hunters hunting with the bow and arrow among these carvings. Later images show the transition of herding as the dominant way of life from hunting and gathering. The most recent images show the transition to a horse-dependent nomadic lifestyle during the early 1st millennium BC, the Scythian period, and the later Turkic period, which is around 7th and 8th centuries AD. These carvings contributed greatly to the understanding of prehistoric communities in northern Asia, especially in modern-day Mongolia. Local researchers told us that there are carvings of people involved in very intimate relations, so it will be really interesting for you to explore around these parts as much as you can. You can interact with us by commenting which carving represents what animal down on the comments below. On the next episode of Explore Mongolia. Next up, we will go to the magnificent Altai-Tauenbog mountain. I cannot wait to get there and kneel before it, and it's not something that everyone gets the chance to do. Stay with us as we charge our batteries with diesel fuel generator to bring you the best episode of Explore Mongolia yet. It's gonna get dark soon, we have to hurry. Why is this river white? Is it because of the sand? It is really amazing how these statues lasted until today. Brutal reality of ancient times. I almost slipped and fell into the water, and I can only swim like a rock. The second highest mountain in Mongolia, Great Tsamgaro. Stay with us on the next episode to see more of these great adventures.